Hello guys, Shikaria here, and I'm here with another film talks. I think that's what I called it. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I apologise for that for anyone who was looking forward to another one. But here it is. In this, I'm going to be comparing Dredd to The Raid, both of which I watched when I first did the first one, and I was going to do it the week after, but obviously my laptop then broke, so I didn't get any videos uploaded for like 4 weeks or something, and blah blah blah. That's how it happened. So did I say Judge Dredd or Dredd? Dredd, the new one with Carl Urban, not the old Sylvester Stallone. And the reason I'm comparing Dredd with The Raid, when The Raid 2 is coming out soon, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go and see it in cinema, because I don't know if by any way that it's going to be coming to any of the cinemas at the moment, because it is foreign. And I don't think the first Raid actually came to any of the cinemas near me, which was quite annoying because I had to watch it, on the small screen, so it's not as out there. But nonetheless, I'm gonna really looking forward to the Raid 2. Anyway, so I'm gonna start off with Dredd. The reason I'm comparing them is because they have virtually the same storyline. It's cops, obviously with Dredd, they're futuristic cops with special training and big guns and everything, and then the Raid is a SWAT team. So obviously there's obviously differences, but it's cops working through an apartment block, a tall apartment block, to get to the drug lord, crime boss, whatever at the top. And so I figured, they are practically the same storyline, so I watched them both within like 2 days of each other. And one I liked much more than the other, and you'll probably be able to gather that. So I'm going to start off with Dredd, and before I start this, anyone who's thinking otherwise, I did like the film. Okay, it's going to sound like I didn't, but I did. There were just a lot of flaws, I think, with it, and a lot of plot inconsistencies. But anyway, to start off the good things, I like the idea of that really simple storyline, not anything on a big scale, very simple. Drug lord, you've got to get to the top of this apartment block. Problem solved. That was it. And so I loved that really simple plotline, because it then wasn't weighed down like Sylvester Stallone was back in 1985, I think it was. Which was just, it's way better than that, because that was just awful. Not really any justifying it. So I loved. Well, no, I didn't love it. It's a good film, solid action film. There were just, when you watch an action film, you want the action sequences to be memorable, and pulse racing and blood pumping and whatever else. But it wasn't. I found a lot of the action sequences to be very clumsy and nearly dull, really. There's that one when the drug lord and whatever else across the apartment block, Dredd and his partner on the other side, and she's got the big cannon, and it's just explosions and gun firing, and there really wasn't anything spectacular about it. It was a perfectly solid film, but I'd have liked more. I was really looking forward to watching it, because I'd heard some really good things about it, and then it just wasn't what I wanted. So and then there's the whole thing where, okay, I don't mind it if in a film like Dredd, he feels the need to call out, like, how he has a gun, and he feels the need to call out what it is that he's shooting, and there's a bit when he shoots an incendiary grenade, then he says incendiary or something. And so I figured, okay, so the gun is activated by voice recognition, but then he doesn't do it every time he changes weapon. There's one, I don't want to say too much, but when they're in is it the meat factory or the drug factory? I think it's probably the drug factory. But yeah, so there's that bit, and he's like switching through, but he's not saying any of it. And so it's like, earlier you had to say it, or did you not have to say it? Did you just want to say it because you could? And so I kind of feel like, I know it's only tiny things, but when the rest of the film is fairly solid, these things kind of just stand out, and I don't know, it irritated me. It didn't ruin the film on any level, and I liked the film, and it was perfectly alright, really. But it could have been so much better. Like the Dredd Lord was just really, she wasn't interesting on any level. She was kind of boring. And then there's the thing at the end with what anyone who's seen it, and it kind of just goes against what Dredd says, and it's just like, okay, sure, that happened. I'm really trying to avoid spoilers, and so it's meant to be vague because I don't want. But sure, that happened, but you shouldn't then let this other thing happen. Watch the film and you'll know what I mean. It's at the end, and he says something at the end. And it's just like, no, that sure, yeah. Anyone who's watched it, then I think you can kind of gather what the bit I'm getting at. So yeah, and Carl Urban I thought was a fantastic Dredd. I really thought that he nailed it, because he didn't take his helmet off. He didn't really show any emotion whatsoever, no personal connection. It was very simple. This is our job. This is what we have to do. We have to stop crime, and nothing else should get in the way. And then that's why the bit at the end felt so out of character. And so anyway, that's what I think of Dredd. I like it, but it could have been so much better. I'm still waiting for that Dredd film, which really is what Dredd should be like. So The Raid, I'm guessing you can guess which one I prefer already. The Raid is one of the best foreign Asian films that I've ever seen. I was about to say foreign, but then I remembered maybe in Pan's Labyrinth and whatever else. The Raid is one of the best Asian films I have ever seen. Better than Oldboy. Simply because it's just so... One of the taglines for it was 1 minute of romance, 99 minutes of non-stop carnage. And that's about accurate. That's what it is. Okay, it's like... There's that one bit of romance at the start where he's saying goodbye to his wife, I think it is, and she's pregnant. And then from there, they're in the SWAT van, they're sneaking through the SWAT van, and it all goes to hell. That's what it is. And from there, it's just action sequence after action sequence after action sequence, and I was utterly gripped. Normally, I've kind of got to the stage when I want more from an action film and just action sequences, but it truly was fantastic. There's that one really, really amazing set piece. Well, there are 3 amazing set pieces that stand out. There's the bit at the end when there's the freeway fight 2v1. Anyone who's seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying it anymore. Which is just utterly, it's brutal. Then there's the bit when they're fighting in the drug factory, and you've got one guy taking on a few. You've got, is it Rama? I think that's what his name is. I can't remember if that's the actor's name or the character's name, but you've got him there, and he's taking on a bunch of people, and then you've got one other guy taking on loads of people, and it's just this really all-out, brutal fist fighting melee. And then there's the other one when Rama is chased down and cornered by I think it's 5 guys with machetes. Oh no, it's 5. Yeah. So he's cornered by the guys with machetes, and that fight scene when, I mean, if you've seen any clips of The Raid, that's likely the clip that you've seen when he's standing at the end of the corridor, and then the guys with machetes are standing at the other end, and there's this about 10 seconds when they just keep eye contact with each other, and then they all go charging, and Rama just jumps about and kicks them, and it's just absolutely, utterly, I want to say, it's so well choreographed. I don't know what the word is. It's I can't remember what the word is, but it's just utterly, not beautiful, because that's just weird, because it's brutal violence, where it's amazing, just such impressive choreography for the fight scenes. And that's why I'm looking forward to Raid 2 so much, because they did it on a small scale, in tight little corridors. It's really kind of claustrophobic feeling almost, because there really wasn't much room to move about. But then on the Raid 2, they're widening out over the city, and there's bits in the prison, and there's car chases, which I'm really looking forward to the Raid 2. Simply because the first Raid was just so phenomenal. It really was. Because one of my favourite reviewers, Mark Commode, he loved the Raid so much, and so I was like, okay, I would check it out, because I wasn't completely bought by the trailer, but it's just mind-blowingly good. I watched Oldboy, and people are saying, oh, Oldboy's the best Asian film ever made, Battle Royale's the best Asian film ever made, but I think that it's the Raid, because Oldboy could have probably been shorter. There were bits in Oldboy where I kind of thought this is slightly unnecessary and whatever else. And I haven't seen the remake of it, nor do I want to. I mean, they're remaking the Raid, but not because it's hard to get hold. Not because, I guess partly because of subtitles, but then also because of it's really hard to get hold of a copy with full English subtitles. So you can't really understand the story completely, and the subtitles are still slightly broken. They're not perfect. So they're remaking it, and I don't know if it's going to be any good. I can't think if they've actually selected anyone to take on the role of main character. But yeah, so that's what I think. And if you look at Dredd without watching the Raid, you'll think that it's one of the best blunt, very small scale action films. But then you watch the Raid, and Dredd just doesn't hold up on any level. Really, the action sequences are better. That's pretty much the only thing in the films, really, because they've got the same storyline. So yeah, the action sequences are better. Yeah. But that's just my opinion. My friend who's seen Dredd absolutely loved it, but he hasn't seen the Raid yet. I've been trying to get him to watch the Raid, but obviously it's hard to get people to watch subtitled films, because a lot of people don't like watching subtitles. I don't mind it myself. Maureen is one of the best gangster films ever made, in my opinion. Vincent Cassel, who I think is absolutely outstanding actor. Trance and Black Swan and whatever else. So yeah, that's the Raid versus Dredd. Like I very enjoyed. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time.